At long last, we have reached the final chapter of the main story, a battle against Sombron on a giant chunk of rock floating in the void. I start things off by dropping Alir at the edge of Sombron's range, and having Citrine crush a pair of nearby halberdiers. After taking down Sombron's first 3 health bars on the next turn, the battle progresses to the second phase, where Sombron transforms into his Felldragon form. In addition to gaining enough physical size to occupy most of the map, Sombron also gains a shield that can be disabled by defeating 4 stationary corrupted with Dark Emblems in the corners of the map. These Dark Emblems represent main enemies from one of the main series games, and are particularly weak to characters synced with an emblem from the same game. I start off by taking down the nearest 2 such enemies, who are weak to Sigurd and Marth. From there, I rush up the left side, taking down the armor in the left corner with a Dark Emblem representing Duma. On the 5th turn, Sombron prepares to use Disengage, which forcibly ends the engage status for all units. Since Alfred is currently engaged with Sigurd, I plan to allow this to happen, then take out the final Dark Emblem on the next turn, so I will be able to have Alir engage plus with him to close out the map. However, in the interest of time, I decide to try using Engage Plus on another nearby unit that Alir has A support with, perhaps the run's most consistent contributor, Citrine. So, I send a couple units to rush down the last Dark Emblem and activate Engage Plus to start the process of taking Sombron down. Alir's attack, combined with a follow-up strike from Panette and Ukon Vasara, delete his first health bar. Citrine demolishes the second with a Bond Blast. Alfred and Rosado combine to take down the third, and Cedal provides Alir with a dance, allowing her to use one final Bond Blast to seal the deal. And now some final thoughts on the run. This run was an interesting mix of both things that were familiar and also fresh experiences, at least for me. I've actually used Dire Thunder Citrine on previous Maddening runs, and I have to admit that I was pretty relieved when the vast majority voted to allow her use in this one. Another thing that I was familiar with from previous runs was Emblem Lyn making whoever she was synced with totally busted. On one of my playthroughs, I actually ended up staking her on Amber, which was my inspiration for gluing her to Alfred for the majority of this run, because Amber is basically just Alfred with better bases and a useful personal. I've always wanted to use Alfred throughout a run, and while getting him out of his awful personal line and into Griffin was a nice first step, it was definitely Lyn who was primarily responsible for his success. Something I didn't really anticipate was using Alchrist and crit setups in general. On my first couple playthroughs, I had actually written off crit builds as too inconsistent to function properly, mostly because I didn't really understand the engraving mechanic. If you can believe it, I actually saw the name of the Forge menu item and thought it meant engraving a new name for a weapon, which is a feature that has appeared in other games. Needless to say, once I actually took the time to understand engravings, I realized that crit builds are actually consistent, and it was pretty nice to be able to reward Alchrist for the work he put in during Chapter 13 in Lyn's Paralogue, dodging his way through all those flyers and bowknights. Now I guess I just need to figure out what to do with Lapis, and I'll be able to use Team Alchrist in its entirety on my future runs. Overall, it was a lot of fun streaming my Maddening playthrough, and I hope everyone that tuned in or got the summary through the recap videos enjoyed it as well. Over the next several days, I'll be finishing off the stream recaps with my experience in the Divine Paralogs, completed on this save file after completing the main story. I hope you'll enjoy those as well, and as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.